districts close to next to the river, there are river escapes of canals. So we are going to use them to pump water into these escapes and then flow these water from the escapes into the river. But the other districts which are away, starting from the eastern side of Khairpur, the eastern side of Nawabshah, the districts of Sanghar, Umarkot, Mirpur Khas, all of these would evacuate water through Badin into the sea. And that's the only way the water would go out. So we're trying our best to evacuate this water, and our target is to get 75% of the water out within 2 months, so that we can at least try to sow the rubber crop, the wheat crop in the province. If you're not able to do that, the farmers who've lost 350 billion rupees will lose another crop.
But that sowing will be delayed in any case.
Sowing will be delayed, but we will have late varieties and try and so when the water recedes, all the people displaced will go back to their houses immediately. They won't wait for the government to provide facilities, because they want to earn their living, they want to sow their land for the next crop. And we'll need again a large quantity of shelters, of tents, of tarpals, of some kind of temporary shelters. And this target that we've set ourselves is 2 months, and we estimate about 3 million more tents that we are going to need, or shelters, if I may, for the short term, just this 2 months. We need to support these farmers. Farmers in the province, or in Pakistan generally, and in the province of Sindh particularly, live from crop to crop. We take credit for our inputs, and we pay the creditors when we reap the crop. And we don't have anything to pay back the creditors. We don't have any money. The creditors would not give us more money. Even they are out of money. So we need to provide them support, and we feel that we need to provide them support for seed, we need to provide them support for fertilizer, we need to provide them support for tilling the land, to provide them fuel for their tractors if they have any remaining. And the estimate there is about 50 billion rupees would have to go immediately to the farming community just to sow the Rabi crop. Livestock support, the other source of income of the rural people is livestock. And though the damage is much larger, but we feel that immediately we need to import livestock from areas, from countries which have similar climates or similar breeds, so that we can give to these livestock farmers, and another 20 billion is required. Our irrigation network is devastated. The estimate for revival of the irrigation network, and this is a very preliminary estimate, is 195 billion rupees. We need to spend 30 billion rupees in the next 2 months to revive the system, to at least be able to sow the Rabi crop, just to that level. It's not a complete rehabilitation, just put it on a ventilator so that it survives and is able to give water to the Rabi crop. Similarly, the road network, the total amounts are much larger, but we need to spend about 15 billion rupees in the next 2 months to make the roads motorable. Right now, you cannot go from Sakkar to Karachi. There's only one route, and the normal driving time is about 6 to 7 hours. It may take you up to 24 hours right now to get to Karachi by taking some detours, and you'd probably need a 4x4 vehicle. You would not be able to go in a small car. The government buildings, especially the schools and hospitals that have been damaged, we need to restore them immediately. And we estimate an amount of about 5 billion rupees for that immediately. Karachi, I told you, though it does not have water, when you go there in the evening, Mr. Secretary, tonight you won't see water in Karachi, but it had 11 times of the normal rain. The infrastructure is, and you would probably see that, is completely damaged. And we would need right now, in order to revive the infrastructure, and again this 2-month target, about 10 billion rupees. Then we have a medium-term target for 1 year. We need to make houses for these people. Again, at a cost of 300,000 rupees per house, we are estimating 900 billion rupees to make these houses. And they need a support. The provincial government, the federal government, and we're requesting the international agencies will have to come for the support. This is not their doing, they're suffering because of others. As I said, irrigation network, we expect to spend another 165 billion rupees just to revive it to where it was on the 1st of July 2022. The road networks to revive it again, to bring it to where it was on the 1st of July 2022, we need 45 billion, another 10 billion for government buildings, and the Karachi infrastructure, 10 billion we need immediately, and another 60 billion we estimate in the next year to make it livable, if I may. And I'll just try and end quickly. Ultimately, we need to upgrade our irrigation and drainage infrastructure. We cannot withstand these. We were not built for 10 times the rain. I don't think we'll be able to build the infrastructure for 10 times the rain, but at least we can endeavor to drain out the water quicker than what it takes now. This is a very rough estimate. We need ₹1 trillion to upgrade the irrigation infrastructure, raise the dikes. The flood protection bund, which protects us from the hill torrents, was breached at 5 or 6 places, and we raised it after 2010 by 5 feet or 6 feet, but it breached at 6 places. So we need to strengthen that. The river dikes need to be strengthened. This year we had just a heavy flood, not a super flood. We had 600,000 cusics at Gudu Barrage roughly. We've experienced up to 1.1 million cusics. The average flow at Gudu Barrage is about 400,000 cusics. The way the environment, the way the nature is hitting back at us, if we get 10 times the 10 times the flows in the river, that's about 4 million cusics of water. Now, I hope that be doomsday. But this is what the nature is doing, and it's doing because of no fault of ours. And lastly, the urban infrastructure. We feel that the cities of Karachi, Hyderabad, Sakkar, in order that we do proper drainage works there, another ₹1 trillion are required. In terms of US dollars, this entire plan would be about $16 billion is what we estimate. When you fly towards Jacobabad and then go to Balochistan and come back to Mohenjo-daro, you'll see part of the disaster. You'll see water has receded because you're going towards the northernmost districts of the province. The water is receding from here and going southwards. There was more water here about a week back. As you go down, you'll see, lots more water. So the disastrous effect of climate change on Pakistan are entirely disproportionate to our contribution to the problem. We add, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here. I've heard you yesterday. We add negligible amount to world's greenhouse gas emissions, yet we bear the brunt of the devastating effects. It's only fair that we look to the world in the wake of the disaster that has befallen us. While I humbly phrase this as an appeal, it is in fact what we are owed by the developed world. Pakistan needs help. This battle cannot be ours alone. We look towards you, Mr. Secretary General, to help bring the world to us. Today, we look to you to help us to provide relief. Tomorrow, we need to rebuild. We look towards you to help us build structures that adapt to this climate change. We hope to build homes that allow the residents to live without fear of being washed away, and infrastructure that can withstand the fury of melting glaciers, torrential rains, and raging rivers. We also look to the world for helping in constructing drainage capable of handling such unprecedented amount of water as we are seeing today. We need to make international laws that restrict and prohibit developed countries from pursuing policies which result in catastrophic consequences for the less developed. We need to promote a green agenda and a resilient policy. We look towards you, Mr. Secretary General, and the rest of the United Nations to ensure that no other country suffers the way Pakistan is suffering today. Thank you very much. I guess I don't know if you want to say a few words, or we just move to the helicopters?
Want to say something? Say.
Sure.
Just a few words.
Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is difficult not to feel deeply moved when we hear such a detailed description of tragedy, of the loss of life, of the destruction, of the loss of property, of the loss of livelihoods. But listening to you, I see that there is no loss of hope. But that hope to materialize needs the international community to recognize three basic facts. First, as you said, humanity has been waging war on nature, and nature strikes back. But nature strikes back in sins, but it was not sin that has made the emissions of greenhouse gases that have accelerated climate change so dramatically. So there is a very unfair situation in relation to the level of destruction that we are seeing here in Sindh. And so it is essential for the international community to understand three things, and obviously developed countries have an absolutely key role to play in the international financial institutions joining them. First is that Pakistan, including Sindh, needs today massive financial support to overcome this crisis. And I've been saying, and you repeated it, this is not a matter of generosity, it's a matter of justice. Second, we need to stop the madness with which we are treating nature. According to the scientific community, we need to reduce emissions by 45% until 2030. I'm not talking about the end of the century. I'm not talking about 2050. I'm talking about now. Now is the time to reduce emissions. And this will be essential in the discussions in Cairo of the COP. But the fact is that we are already living in a world where climate change is acting in such a devastating way. So there must be massive support to what usually is called adaptation, which means to build resilient infrastructure and to support resilient communities and to create conditions for those that are in the hot spots of climate change. And Pakistan is one of the 15 hot spots of climate change. For those countries to be able to prepare for the next disaster and to be able to resist the next disaster. And this needs a huge investment, and this investment needs to be provided. That's why we are asking for a strong increase in the financing of adaptation, of resilient infrastructure. And at the same time, there has not yet until now been a serious discussion about loss and damage, and I hope that the COP in Cairo will, for the first time, create the conditions for a serious discussion on loss and damage. And then I would like to say that what the UN is doing in Pakistan is a drop in the ocean of what is needed. We are perfectly aware of how limited is our capacity and our resources. But one thing you can be absolutely sure, we are in total solidarity with the Pakistani people. We will do everything we can, not only to use our limited capacities, but to raise awareness and to request those that have the capacity to support Pakistan to request that they do it. They do it now, they do it massively, and they do it also looking into the preparation of this country to face future challenges, to be able to protect their population when those future challenges are coming. Our commitment, our very strong and emotional solidarity is something you can count on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
अक़वाम मुत्तहदा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल एंटोनियो गुतेरेस इज़हार ख़याल कर रहे थे। उन्होंने कहा कि सैलाब से होने वाले नुकसानात पर बहुत अफसोस हुआ है। आलमी बरादरी को पाकिस्तान में होने वाले नुकसानात पर पाकिस्तान की मदद करने की ज़रूरत है। हमें माहौलियाती आलूदगी को भी कम करने की ज़रूरत है। उन्होंने कहा कि पाकिस्तान में होने वाले सैलाब के नुकसानात पर बड़े पैमाने पर इमदाद की ज़रूरत है। उन्होंने यकीन दिलाया कि